Welcome, team. Today we're going to do the non-combat operational maintenance plans tracker, the NCOMP tracker. It's going to consist of total amount of equipment available, how many are enrolled, how many have missing services, meaning how many do not have a service scheduled in the next 365 days, how many have been driven more than 10 miles within the last 60 days, and the percentage of usage, meaning the percentage of that equipment that have been driven more than 10 miles, and the percentage of enrolled. In order to do this query, we're going to need to have equipsit, service schedule, and usage. Those are the three fields that we need from Army. Once we get it from Army, once we download it from Army, the only thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make them into a table by hitting Control Tango, hitting OK, F12 to save it, and find where you have the location, and save it there. Override your old one, and then you are going to be good. You're going to be good to go. I'm not going to override it because I have one already in there. These are the fields that must be included in order to run the query correctly. These are from the ZMPRP team, from the equipsit, and from ZUSAGE. You could have more. It doesn't matter if you have more, but don't have less. You need to at a minimum have these fields. And once you have all these fields, you have to find out where you have the files. Like for me, this is where I have my files. So I click where the files are going to be at. I copy this, I copy it, and then I paste it over here. Once I do that, the query is going to know where to find the files. So once I hit refresh, it's going to give me the numbers. Go to Data, Queries and Connections, and that way you will see what the queries are. So these are the queries that are ran. And then you hit refresh, go to Data, refresh all, and this is going to refresh everything. You're going to see how the equipsit over here starts doing this calculation. This being a small brigade is fairly quick. So it did the calculations already. In this brigade, they have 186 FMTV, 478 Humvees, a total of 664. Usage is 100%, except for this one right here. These are not 100% because when C usage was ran, it didn't have all the equipment that was being evaluated. So make sure that when you run C usage, you include all the equipment that you're evaluating. That way, if it has no mileage, it'll show a 0. If you don't run it, then you miss it. Once again, make sure that when you run C usage, you have all the equipment that you are evaluating. That is the best way. That's the only way to get 100% accurate information. This is 100% because if you could see, we have the standard at 0 miles. Well, we need to make this 10 miles because this is how many miles they should be driven during the 60 days. And let's go to right here, right click. This is a pivot table. So from right here, you can refresh, and it's going to calculate how many of the equipment have been driven 10 miles in the last 60 days. And as you can see, not many. Let's close this. Not many of the equipment have been driven 60 miles. Missing is the number of equipment that does not have a service in the next 438 days. That is given a 10% barrier for biannual service. So there are 7 pieces there's a total of 13 pieces of equipment that do not have a service scheduled in the next year. It's either because it doesn't have one at all, or because the interval is done incorrectly. So once you do an annual, or once you do a semi-annual, any annual, the next one is going to be due in like 2 years. because they have the interval at 730 or 500 or something, or the wrong number. So it skips a year. So that's what the number means. It doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't have a maintenance plan, because it could have a maintenance plan. It's just not within a year. This is the percentage of usage. This is the percentage of what's enrolled. And this is for this is how you look at it for a battalion. If you are a brigade looking at a battalion, or a division looking at as brigades, you will see it like this. But if you are a battalion looking at a company, this will be a better way of looking at it. Because this way you show who are the ones that are not doing what they're supposed to. The lowest group is a platoon. The platoons have the equipment. It is easy for a platoon that has 10 pieces of equipment, or 5 pieces of equipment, or 20 pieces of equipment, to plan how to drive that in 60 days. It gets a little bit harder if a company has to plan it for the whole company. It's even more harder if a battalion has to do it. But if a platoon has to do it, it's easier for them to manage. The way I see it also is, if we have a platoon that has a lot of soldiers that are red on MEDPROS, we don't blame the clinic. We don't ask the clinic to justify, hey, why are these soldiers red on MEDPROS? It is the responsibility of platoons to identify the soldiers that are red and to make sure that they go to the clinic to get their MEDPROS looked at. In the same token, it is the responsibility of platoons to identify which equipment is overdue services, is NMC, needs any work, so they could bring it up to the maintenance platoon, so that their work could be done. If the work is not done by the maintenance platoon, that's a different issue. But the platoons are the ones that run the company. The platoons are going to make sure that it gets done. So at a battalion level, these are the people that should be briefing why the equipment has not been driven in 60 days. This is a very simple query. The naming convention could be changed to however you want to call it, but it's very simple. Let's take a few minutes to discuss the key, because the key is the key. The key is what we use to identify the equipment. We take the material number and we see if it is part of NCOMP or not, and what type of service it is. There's different types here because different units call it differently. This is how much time it takes for biannual, annual, and semi-annual. It's all the same because it's not accurate. It's just a placeholder. This is how you want to call the equipment, how you want to group it. So all this could be done through here. So you do not have to go into any formulas or anything, or adjust anything. All you have to come is to update the key. If this happens not to be a wheel vehicle, you can just change it here. If it's not enrolled in NCOMP, you can just change it here. And when all the equipment becomes enrolled in the program, all you're going to do is find them and then add them here. You say yes, and it'll be added. This is to identify the equipment. This part of the key right here is to identify the units. You could use it, you could identify by storage location or UIC. My preferred method is by storage location. And in here, you could say to what platoon, what company, what battalion, what brigade, what division the S-log belongs to. If you use UIC, you cannot say which platoon it belongs to. That's why using the S-log, the storage location, is better, because you can pinpoint it to the platoon. These units are random units. They don't mean anything. That's why the numbers sometimes they look uneven, because they're just 100% random. So this is what the key is used for. You don't have to make any changes to the formulas that you use or to the queries that you do. Just come over here and change it. If you have a different UIC, just add the new UIC and name it correctly. If you go forward and you have a derivative UIC, just add it and name it correctly. So it'll always be updated. So this is the key. Well, team, this is we just spent a few minutes going over a query for NCOMP. This query builds on all the other queries. You can put them all together into one query, but it'll go super slow. You could also take this query and put it in Power BI because it's the same. It's the same thing. All you do is copy paste the query into Power BI, and then you display it in Power BI using all the other tools that Power BI has. My main goal is to make sure to keep us away from the desk. All you have to do is go to GArmy, download the files, hit refresh, and you get accurate and quick information. You disseminate it to your down trace units, and then you go teach and train and mentor. The best part of our job, to teach, train, and mentor. But if we don't know what the deficiencies are, we can't pinpoint training. We can't pinpoint what is it that units need help with. Using queries like this is consistent. If we say that there are 10 pieces of equipment missing services, and we identify those 10 pieces of equipment, then maybe they are not missing services. Maybe we need to update the key. And if we don't need to update the key, then we could use this to teach and train the companies on how to manage the services. But if our data is questionable, we're not gonna feel confident telling a unit to fix something when we're not sure that what we are telling them is correctly. And if we keep telling units to fix things, and when they go to fix it, it's not broken, then we are going to lose credibility. So the point of using queries like this is to make sure that we have accurate information that is traceable. You could go and see where it came from in the system of record and go from there how to correct it. And then when mistakes are found, because mistakes will be found, we correct them. We have a key that identifies everything for what it is. And if we share this key with the companies and the battalions of the brigades, then we are all speaking the same language. So once again, thank you for your time. Find me on Global. Send me an email. Leave comments down below. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much.